Hi, and welcome to another episode of Bespoke Architects Daily Pinup. I'm Nicole Walters, Director of Bespoke Architects, and I'm about to show you what made our Pinterest boards today. It was a huge weekend of inspiration on the internet, so we've curated some of the best that we found. This little project up here had some exquisite joinery in it. I love the timber veneers. It correlates nicely with their outside palette here. This pin made the board because I really liked that material. This one was more about the concealed joinery. We can see there behind the bifold doors, a little kitchenette. This here is a bathroom vanity. I really enjoyed the way they'd framed that medicine cabinet, which is above the floating timber veneer and sort of tessellated tile, or a very small Caesar stone bench top. I just really liked that as a vanity unit. We can see they've got a floor waist underneath, and then the use of their smaller square tiles on the splash on the walls here, and then we can see that this floor tile just sort of wraps its way up the wall, creating that dado, and is used to make the bench as well. So that was a really interesting material palette. Here is the side view of that same bathroom. We can see the material palette over on that far wall, but I actually really enjoyed the hob bath inside the shower. That does create that quite wet room area. Not everybody is a fan, but I think it's a really nice way to be economical in a bathroom. And the fact that they've gone for this textured glass without a frame is really interesting. And that we can see lines up with the center of the window. So that makes it really nice. And the tap, it's just a really nice, well thought out composition. I really enjoyed this kitchen from that same project. I particularly like the way the overheads were done, and then the negative space is actually a window to the outside, but we still have the shroud created by the timber that's wrapping around those overheads. So I found that really interesting. This little project here, again, some really interesting vanity units. This one's obviously in a powder room. We can see the shelf. I really like the way the wall light is actually penetrating that mirror. And then the way we've got this wall hung vanity basin, and then assumably some storage underneath that. Their kitchen uses that same material palette. It's very, very simple. I like the way it's done an integrated fridge over here. We can see the cooking is at the back and the sink is in the island bench, and then next to that assumably is a pantry. But they've gone for that nice light shade of grey. Nothing's quite reaching the ceiling. I probably would have preferred it if the range hood duct and the overheads, the tall cupboards were in the same line, but that's just a minor detail. Again, we're seeing textured glass with no frame, which is really nice. This is obviously a dual shower. We can see it has a skylight above that's adding a lot of light into that bathroom. And I particularly like the way this vanity unit has all its storage underneath, and then the mirrors are actually folding on the sides, really to allow you to do your makeup. And then we have that same feature pendant light, but this one isn't penetrating a mirror, but a solid panel. So I really liked that from that project. Its staircase, that concrete that's wrapping around with the nice timber contrasting on the tread, that was lovely. This is a view of it from above as the skylight, so that was a really nice image. Again, this is a detailed shot of that kitchen, so we can see that the material on the bench top is forming the waterfall, is forming the splashback, and is then the bottom part of that range hood, and we get that really nice strong line that lines up with the line in above the fridge. So I really like that. It was just unfortunate that this line here, which seems to be lining up with the window head, doesn't actually reach the top of these tall cupboards to the right of that image. This little project here had some great storage. This is a study nook, and I particularly like the way it presents to the door as a solid element, which is actually an accessible cupboard. From this side, I can see the finger grip handle there, and then against that we have some book storage that actually faces the desk. So the mess isn't facing into the room, it's actually facing that study desk, and then it has some really interesting sort of hanging shelving next to that. So that's really lovely. Again, their fireplace is really nice, and we can see that there's a brick. So the feature brick that they're using on their walls is actually creating that hearth, and then is over here as the window seat as well. And I just thought that was a really nice continuity of material, which that project is really good at. This image here was pinned just for that gable wall and the gable end to this house and how that's been done. The windows are all broken up. There's some timber paneling in there, and I just really like that as a composition facing the backyard. It does not feel like a sheer two-story wall. It's actually nicely broken up, which is lovely to see. This here, I pinned this skylight over the staircase. I mean, that's quite a thing to do. We've talked about it on previous episodes where we're using the staircase as a light shaft to get light down from the upper levels down through the staircase to the lower levels of the same dwelling. So that's really nice detailing. This image here I pinned because I really like the way that that window projected out of that flat facade. I thought that was really nice. This is the same building from another side. We can see the holes that are in that staircase are actually in this facade here. And I just really liked the way that they'd penetrated the precast concrete wall there. So that's why that image is on the board. This one here, the villa, I really liked the way they'd sort of planted out the various relief spaces or breakout spaces on the upper levels of this building have been planted out with trees. I thought that was really nice. This here is an alfresco space. This is actually a car space, and I just, again, really enjoyed that disc cutouts in the precast and the way it let natural light down into what is a protected sort of alfresco space. We can see the ceiling fan and some joinery to this right-hand side of that image. This vanity here I pinned, it's quite simple, it's elegant in its design solution. It's got a floor-to-ceiling mirror. The vanity unit spans in front of that, and then we have, it's asymmetrical in that the sink is to one side, and then to balance that we have these feature pendant lights with different coloured cords and different light globes. Again, quite simple but really effective, and I'm just going to step back out of that sunshine. It's penetrating my office right now. Moving forward, this house, I've pinned the same image twice, that's how much I loved it. It was a fireplace that I found really elegant. It's very horizontal. This space does feel quite low ceilings, and so I really enjoyed the way that the fireplace worked. That's the same image over there. This outside image here, it was the material palette, the way it's a very horizontal design, and it's the break in the material has been emphasized, and then it's slightly offset with a cantilever. So it doesn't feel like a layer cake where we've just got a rectangle and we've broken it up with different materials and banded it. It's actually got some relief in that. There's an entry door at the lower level, the window above showing the feature lights above that entry, but the way that the horizontal lines sort of carry your eye beyond the material line really make that an interesting facade. This bathroom here, I just really enjoyed the vanity. Again, no storage, but just the material of it matches the wall. It's super deep, which is lovely to see. And the way the concealed cistern toilet, so that's where our water storage is in the wall rather than exposed within the room. It's quite an elegant bathroom, so I really enjoyed that. Staircases were on trend today, so this is a steel staircase. We're seeing the stringer here, the tread and the riser, and the balustrade is all steel, and then we can see the little timber tread on top. I thought that was really lovely. This one here is a spiral steel staircase, powder coated white, and it's all we can see folded steel joined on the back of the riser, back of the tread, bottom of the riser there. And I just thought that was really elegant, mindful of course that in Australia that balustrade wouldn't comply with the BCA and would require either wire or mesh or glass infill. This staircase over here, it was about the material palette. So we've got the solid concrete tread, which gives you that really nice soffit lining on the descent. And then it's got the iron infill. So I just thought that was a lovely material palette on a staircase with this light highlight windows above. So it's quite a light and airy staircase, despite the fact that it's a solid material. This image here, it was the material, again, that gable roof that we sort of spoke about here, can appear quite sheer. This is a 3 levels plus, but the way that they've sort of framed it in the white, giving us that A, so that makes the bottom level appear separate, and then the way they've used windows and timber and then stop the timber short, it makes it not feel as tall as that building potentially could have felt. This image here is just a nice big rectangle, but I really enjoyed how they lined one side of that. So it's sort of like angled to one side with the timber lining. It sort of draws your eye back to that window here. I like the composition of that window. the use of their glass and the breaking up of that glass really makes for an interesting facade. So that's why that pin is on the board. Here is the bottom level of this staircase over here, and we can see that they've integrated some timber treads into the concrete. So they're sort of introducing that timber handrail down at the lower level. This is a really nice detail, quite terrifying if you've got small children. We can do it in Australia up to sort of the 800 mil above floor level prior to needing a balustrade on that. So it is a really nice detail and a really nice way to transition around a corner. This here is a shower over a bath. So I spoke about the shower and the bath in this image up here when I get to it being a really good use of space. If you've got an even smaller space, a shower over a bath is also an option. And then we have the vanity on one side, toilet on the other. It's a nice concrete bath, which is very appealing. I've spoken about my love of concrete previously and my love of concrete bath. So I just think that's a really nice bathroom there in front of us. And we can see that the material palette of this bathroom is quite simple. We have a feature white tile at the back. We've got a skylight again running above that shower and above the vanity. We've got some timber to soften it. It's just a really nice bathroom. This image here is a lounge room. It's quite simple, but it's the same material on the floor, the walls and the ceiling, and that the way they've made that work, they've softened it with their material choices around their furniture, and the way that the lights, and there's some speakers up there, are almost seamlessly integrated. Your eyes are not going to them. The feature of this space is the material and the volume rather than the fixtures and the fittings. So I really liked that. I really like this as a composition for a facade. It's a parapet facade. You know, it could be just plain rectangles again. By cantilevering steel out there, drawing your eye across. There's some vertical elements drawing your eye up, and then we go across. It's just a really nice composition for an elevation. That's why that pin has made the board. This little project here, this apartment just had some stunning joinery in it. I particularly like the way they've curved this wall, and we can see that timber paneling. There's a door here to a powder room, just wraps down that wall, across this wall, and then becomes like a seat, and then leads you out to a bench seat, which is in this image here. And then we're finally in the alfresco area. We've got the barbecue and the kitchen. It's really nice. I don't quite know if there's a retractable door in this position, but this is the kitchen for that space there. So we do know it is an alfresco area. This I pinned, that's a very monolithic style of island bench. We don't have stools at that island bench. It's functionless on the dining room side. Forgive me, I've gone way too far with my scrolling then. So it's just a really beautiful kitchen. We can see that they've got their fridge and they're cooking on the back section. The island bench itself is raised, so we can't see the sink. There is a sink on that island bench, but the portion facing the lounge room is high enough so we can't see what's going on. And then there's some really interesting joinery on this side with some open shelving. So that was a really nice kitchen from that project. Another solid concrete and timber stair. This one we spoke about having a flat soffit for the riser. This one is actually following the riser and the tread, so we get that angled look. So there's two different ways of doing the same sort of concept for a stair, the same sort of solid stair, and different ways of doing that. What it is that you're trying to achieve with your staircase, both as you're walking up it, as you're looking at it, and as you're underneath it. This image here was just a stunning walk-in robe, then becomes a window seat. I just really liked the way the joinery was integrated with that window. It's got a whole lot of depth to it. You can imagine yourself getting dressed and then sitting here and putting your shoes on, or just sitting here and reading a book. It was just a really nice and feeling really cozy. So I really liked that as a concept for a joinery unit, particularly for a walk-in robe. This one here was all about the material palette, the nice timber screen. To the bottom there's an entry door, and then this nice white panel that's sort of angled with a window. I thought that was a really nice simple parapet elevation, and the proportion so that the wood is smaller than the white, and then we have this beige color on top. So it's not, again, it's not a layer cake of even materials. There's some depth and shadow. Facades, there's elements of recessed on the ground floor, and again on the first floor, and then this middle section protrudes out, but then it's punctuated by that window on the end. So that's really lovely. This pool was really interesting. It looks to be in a courtyard. It's got a little bridge over it, and then it's got some decking that's sort of in layers. I really liked that as a pool solution. This here was a material, it's digital plastic laminate. I'm assuming you could potentially print anything you wanted on that laminate, so I really liked that. We've had other laminates in the past that you can colour in. So really great for interesting joinery to children's room or something like that. A desk in a children's room, that would sort of be ideal. This here, just another spiral staircase in a library. I really liked that. Screening from that same project, I found that really interesting, the laser cut core 10, and then we see some of the discs are actually rotated, so that was a really nice screen. And that's it from the street, so you can see that core 10, and that's a detail shot of it. And then from that same project, or from a different project, I beg your pardon, we've got this staircase. It is external. I did put it on our stairs board though, because I really like that vertical garden that they've got acting as sort of the divider between the walk area and the staircase itself, and then the rather simple steel balustrade. So that is all the interesting things that came in over the weekend. I did speak quickly because I'm trying to beat the sun. As you can see, I'm about to go blind. If you are looking for more inspiration, again, the daily pinup is going up on Pinterest and YouTube and Instagram when we can get them to fit in terms of length. So thank you very much for joining us today on Bespoke Architects Daily Pinup. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow with more insanely inspiring architectural ideas. Thanks again. Bye.